I'd like to roll a video of some new friends of ours from World Bicycle Relief. Thanks to Janet Ginsburg for the idea and the introduction, and Ruth Ann for the support. So let's roll the video and then I'll introduce Dave.
Every morning, the pulse of life begins in Palabana. We work early to prepare for school. We milk our cows, we open shop. But out here, there are no school buses, no paved roads, no highways. In remote towns around the world, distance is a barrier, time an enemy. But Palabana is a community on the move. Here we have bicycles, strong, reliable bicycles. Mary used to rise before the sun and walk 5 miles to school. Now she pedals. Mary dreams of becoming a nurse. Joe travels 50 miles to purchase steel. With his bicycle, he can carry 220 pounds. Joe literally strengthens his community. Georgina is a 68-year-old dairy farmer. With a bicycle, her farm delivers twice as much milk to the dairy co-op 8 miles away. Out here, bicycles build connections between students and their dreams, craftsmen and their customers, farmers and their futures.
I provide fresh milk.
I help my family.
I treat the sick.
I grow my business.
I ride to school.
I carry water. I care for the children.
We are Palabana.
We are Palabana.
We are Palabana, and we are on the move. Around the world, communities like Palabana are struggling to move forward. But a simple bicycle can change everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president of World Bicycle Relief, Dave Neiswander.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much. It's the star of the show, so you have to make sure it gets out there. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to Rob and the Ken group. This has been just a fantastic meeting, and we're really excited to be here today. So shifting from very exciting innovations that are taking place in the energy sector and to Silicon Valley to talk about a product, a machine, that is now celebrating its 200th birthday, the bicycle. 200 years to this year. Now, the words bicycle and innovation don't really naturally pair together. If they do, you're going to think something about a bicycle that can be lighter, or a bicycle that can be faster. Or have you seen these electrical assist bicycles that can really help you as you're going up the hill? But what I want to talk about today is how a bicycle, a quality bicycle in the developing world can change everything. Quality bicycle in the developing world can be an innovation, even a revolution. And to share with you a little bit about my story and sort of the forks in the road and the choices that I made and the opportunities that I took, and how that could be sort of a revelation in itself. First, a little context. I am the president of World Bicycle Relief. World Bicycle Relief is 12 years old this year, and we are a Chicago-based global organization. And we supply quality bicycles into healthcare, education, economic development programs in the developing world. We also measure those programs. So we've delivered these 350,000 bicycles into 19 countries most of that in Africa, but also into Southeast Asia and to South America. And I've been with World Bicycle Relief now for about 10 years, and I've had the great advantage of living and privilege of living in Zambia for most of those 10 years, and it's helping start up the bicycle operations and the bicycle programming. Now, this was not really a predicted journey for me, my own path. You certainly wouldn't expect it growing up in rural Ohio. Prior, you can tell I've been bald really since I was about 20, so prior to World Bicycle Relief, I was in investment banking for over 15 years in Washington, D.C. And so 15 years being in part of the financial machinery and the financial cogs of taking banks public, I was looking for some meaning, some purpose. How could I possibly transfer what I was doing in taking banks public and looking at the opportunities to do something good, to have meaning, to have mission, as we talk about. Well, all that changed on a safari, and my soul searching led to Kenya in a safari back in 2006. And on that safari, I met the co-founders of World Bicycle Relief, FK and Leah Day. And from that day, my life changed. Now, what started World Bicycle Relief? Well, remember back into December of 2004 when the tsunami in Southeast Asia hit. And that was a devastation beyond belief, one of the worst recorded natural disasters in history. And over 250,000 people perished and immense damage to infrastructure and to lives. But why bicycles? Why World Bicycle Relief doing something there? Well, about 30 years ago, FK started an organization, a company here in Chicago called SRAM. SRAM has grown into be the world's second largest bicycle component manufacturer, focusing on really high end of the marketplace. So looking at things that are made out of carbon fiber and titanium, things that go on the Tour de France type bicycles. But what FK was interested in doing when the tsunami took place is how can SRAM as an organization really have a considered response to the tsunami? They're a global organization, and so how could they seek that maybe bicycles could make a difference in that disaster recovery? So FK and his wife Leah headed off in January of 2005 to go see if there was an opportunity. And the result of that was a program that delivered 24,400 bicycles into Sri Lanka, into the disaster victims there. And about 1/3 of those bicycles went to healthcare workers that were helping with the disaster relief. And 1/3 of those went to students that were trying to reconnect with their schools. And another third went to entrepreneurs. An example there would be and fishermen that was disconnected from their marketplace, now trying to reconnect with their markets. Well, there was a post-impact evaluation done on that program, and it showed great impact. First of all, it reduced the cost of transportation, and it really did connect people to healthcare, education, economic programs, economic development, the real fundamentals. With this quantified impact, the path led to Africa, and to where millions and millions of people are faced with the challenge of distance every day. Now, on that first safari, of course, and meeting with FK and Leah, and being the bloodthirsty investment banker that I was trying to take SRAM public and reap the banking rewards from that. That was my plan. Now, I have to tell you, SRAM is still a private company, so I wasn't terribly successful with that. But what the unexpected consequence was is that one, I fell in love with Africa. It's my first time there. And the reason I went was so I could be far away from the tentacles of my BlackBerry and not be connected. But falling in love with the sights, the sounds, the people, the everything about it, it's like, this is amazing. I joke with my friends that the red dirt of Africa flows in my veins. Secondly, I was really inspired by what FK and Leah were doing. Two professionals. FK is obviously with SRAM. Leah is a professional photojournalist, and willing to give back and do something different. But it really wasn't until about a year later, in an impromptu visit to Zambia, that my path became a little bit more clear. Now, during that time in going to Zambia, the situation on the ground was pretty dire. Sub-Saharan Africa was being ravaged by HIV and AIDS. And certainly in the rural areas where healthcare is a challenge, people were having to travel long distances to achieve healthcare. And you have these volunteer healthcare workers that were having to walk 10, 15 kilometers to visit people living with HIV and AIDS, or to take them their medicine, or to take care of the newly created orphans from that natural disaster. Appreciate, in the rural context, what I found in Zambia and most of sub-Saharan Africa, in the rural context, people have to fight every day against the challenge of distance. Now try to imagine it in your own life. Try to walk in their shoes. Try to appreciate that without Uber. What would you do? If you had to walk 2 miles to get clean water, to bathe or to cook or to drink, or if you had to walk 5 miles to go to the nearest school, or if you had to take a sick child 15 miles to go to the nearest clinic. These are the challenges that are being faced. Now, a bicycle is a natural sort of answer to that. The challenge that we found, and FK found when he got on the ground there, is that unfortunately the bicycles being supplied into Africa, the majority of them are very poor quality. Unfortunately, the suppliers of those bicycles have become completely disconnected from the end user. And these bicycles, once based off of the old Raleigh design, have basically fallen apart underneath you. Of course, we have to come up with our own acronyms, and we call them BSOs, or bicycle-shaped objects. So these bicycle-shaped objects do not fit the purpose and do not serve the end user in the least. But this challenge of not finding a good bicycle for healthcare programs in Zambia really became our jumping off point. This became where, facing this challenge, what were we going to do as an organization? And FK, with his product development and experience and understanding of processes and connections, said, you know what? We can do something different here. We can actually start designing a bicycle appropriate for Africa. We can start designing and using the product development that we've developed at SRAM at the top end of the market and serve those at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Now, this had never been done before, but that was sort of our leaping off point. This is not a bike. Appreciate, in the developing world, a bicycle like this is really a game changer. This is a lot of research and design has gone into this. This rear carrier can hold over 200 pounds. It is 50 pounds of love. There is a lot of steel that goes into that bicycle and a lot of product development that goes into that bicycle. But when you have to have a bicycle in those difficult terrain and challenging conditions, this bicycle allows a child to go to school. This allows a family to have more consistent health care. This allows for an entrepreneur to access the marketplace. So this is my office in Lusaka, my Nsaka in Lusaka. I gave FK the agreement that for 1 year I'd do a 1 year sabbatical. So I did a sabbatical. I flew back to DC, and within 6 weeks I was living in Lusaka. My family thought it was a little nuts, but it was the best decision that I ever made. Absolutely the best decision I ever made. Sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. I didn't know exactly how my skills would translate, but I knew that I wanted to do something of good, and I thought this might be something that has turned into what is my life's purpose, my life mission. The healthcare program in Zambia was a huge success. We had great impact with over 23,000 bicycles going into the 4 corners of Zambia. There was a post-impact evaluation done on that program, and it showed with this quality bicycle, the healthcare workers were able to see more of their clients, they were able to take more goods, they were able to visit the households more often. The impact was great. And with these new bicycles, quality bicycles going into the field, something very unexpected happened. People started knocking on our door. People started saying, listen, this is great, I want those bicycles for my program. So as a nonprofit organization and other development programs saying, we've seen these improved bicycles, we want those bicycles. Or the farmer saying, I want that bicycle so I can take my produce to the marketplace. We were not set up for that. We were struggling to try to figure out how to put 23,000 bicycles into the four corners of Zambia. And so the nice thing is that we didn't really have a legacy as a traditional nonprofit. You know, we're sort of scrappy in a little bit of way. We're sort of like an entrepreneurial startup. And so we started thinking through ways, well, how do we do this? How do we start meeting this market demand? We can't do it through philanthropic, just through our donations and philanthropically. And so what we came up with was embedding a social enterprise within our not-for-profit. So we have World Bicycle Relief, which is the nonprofit 501c3. And then we formed in 2008 Buffalo Bicycles Limited, which is our social enterprise, which is 100% owned by the not-for-profit. Now this structure is unique in a lot of ways, and we worked with a lot of smart attorneys and Deloitte Consulting to sort of come up with it because we wanted to make sure we're in the good graces of the IRS in doing this, but allows us to help meet some of the market demand that was being reached. And it does a couple of things. One, obviously it leverages the impact because as people purchase bicycles, we have more bicycles in the field. It improves the number of impact that we're having as an organization. Secondly, I would say it creates economies of scale. As we're doing more bicycles, we are actually reducing the cost of our philanthropic programs. But the third point is probably the most important point. The third point is that by selling bicycles, we have direct connections with consumers. And what we have found is that the voice of the consumer is the most important part of our organization. We have a very strong motto that all answers are found in the field. And so what we knew is that we didn't have all the answers. We didn't know what they wanted on this bicycle, but we knew if we started asking the questions and asking the customers, that's where we would find the answers. We knew the answers weren't going to come from Shram here in Chicago. They weren't going to come from my Insaka in Lusaka. It comes from spending time in that field. We also had a hunch that people would be willing to pay for a more expensive bicycle. Now, our bicycle is much higher quality, but it does come at a cost. And most people said, you know what? No one wants to buy something expensive in Africa. They just want it cheap. And we said, you know what? We had the intuition thinking, you know what? If given a choice, I think they would serve to look to quality. And our hunch was right. So since we started the organization, since it started Buffalo Bicycles, we've done approximately 160,000 bicycles into social enterprise. And the majority of those are going into other philanthropic programs. So other nonprofits that purchase their bicycle for healthcare programs or education programs because they realize, they appreciate that the bicycle, a quality bicycle, is very important for them to meet their needs, to meet their outcomes that they're searching. You know, I get excited about the numbers, and as a business person, I certainly like to see the charts that go sloping up to the right. But it's really about the stories of impact that really keep me inspired. And so just wanted to share with you a couple of stories of people that I know in Africa and some of the things that have taken place. This is Angela. Angela is 15 years old. She lives in Kenya with her grandmother. She is an orphan, and she lives about 15 kilometers from the nearest school. Now, Angela's grandmother was very concerned about her education. You have to appreciate that in Kenya, in most of sub-Saharan Africa, girls and girls' education is not as highly valued as boys. And so many times girls are sold into early marriages, or they're kept home to take care of their younger siblings. Or there's the additional threat of, as she's walking, Angela has to walk those 15 kilometers to school every day, that she's under threat of sexual assault and potentially becoming pregnant and then dropping out of school. So you can imagine how ecstatic Angela's grandmother was when she was selected by her school to receive a bicycle. And I've been to countless number of bicycle distributions across Africa. And the look in the eye of a girl when she's receiving a bicycle is absolutely amazing. that spark that says someone is investing in my future, somebody cares about me. That sense of empowerment, that respect, that dignity, the excitement that they can achieve their goals. It is absolutely unbelievable. Now I'm happy to report that Angela is doing very well. She's at the top of her class. She's looking to study medicine and going on to university. She'll be the first student in university and returning back to her community. Now multiply Angela's story by 130,000 bicycles, and that's the number of bicycles that we have done into the education program. And you can start to see the change that's happening in the rural context, both with girls' education and empowerment.
Dave, as we go to lunch, how can we get engaged? If somebody here says, this is really exciting, how can I get engaged? What do we do?
Talk to Ruth Ann Renaud and myself, and we're happy, and also we can share you with the website.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
This is really fantastic.
Great. Thank you.
I think we're going to be sharing that bike. Right?
Yes, we'll have the bike out there.
Do we have the insurance to allow people to ride around on it a little bit?
We can do that, yes.
Okay, all right, great.
That's fine.
And we're on camera. Thanks
All right.
again, Dave.
Very good, thanks.
It was wonderful.
Thanks.